The afternoon sun hovered low over the quiet suburban street in Portland, Oregon, but Cara didn't notice its warmth. She sat on the cold concrete step outside the apartment building, her breath trembling, her hands gripping her knees as though holding herself together was the only thing stopping her from falling apart entirely. Her heart throbbed with an ache that felt ancient, an ache born not from one bad day but from years of trying to be strong for everyone else. And just a few feet away, Wesley stood with his hands clenched, his back turned to her, ready to walk away from everything they had built. It was in that fragile moment, when love, pride, and exhaustion collided, that their little boy reached out and changed everything. If you believe in kindness, compassion, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us spread more stories that touch the heart. Cara had always been the steady one. At 32, she worked double shifts at a bakery while caring for 4-year-old Mason, who had inherited her wide, searching eyes. She and Wesley had been together for 6 years, long enough to know each other's burdens, but not long enough to figure out how to carry them together. Wesley had lost his job 2 months earlier, and ever since, the weight of failure gnawed at him like something alive. He was a good man with a soft voice and a harder past, a man who believed he had to prove his worth every single day. Losing work made him feel like he was losing the right to be part of his own family. Instead of leaning toward Cara, he had turned inward, and the silence between them had grown into something dangerous. That morning, everything cracked. Cara found the overdue utility bills again, the ones Wesley said he would take care of. She didn't yell. She didn't even speak. She just sat down on the edge of the bed and cried, quietly, helplessly. And Wesley, ashamed and frustrated, told her he couldn't handle being the failure in the house anymore. She followed him outside, still in her soft lavender blouse, trying to breathe through the panic rising in her chest. They argued, emotions spilling in jagged waves, until Wesley, overwhelmed, turned away from her completely. Now, sitting on the stair, Cara felt the last thread of hope slipping. She wasn't angry, just tired. So tired of trying to be enough for everyone. She pressed her palm against her forehead, trying to steady the dizziness. Her mind raced with all the things she needed to fix, all the things she had already failed at. Wesley stood a few steps away, staring at the sidewalk, jaw tight, as though walking out might somehow make everything easier. But Mason didn't understand any of that. He only saw his mother hurting. The little boy approached his father, tugging gently on Wesley's hand. His small fingers wrapped around the man's knuckles, and he looked up with a simple, earnest expression that cut through the swirling chaos like light breaking through a storm. Wesley froze. Mason didn't speak. He didn't need to. His tiny hand, his trembling chin, the silent plea in his eyes carried more truth than any argument ever could. Wesley finally turned to look at Cara. She wasn't crying anymore. She simply looked lost, sitting there like a woman who had fought one battle too many. Something inside him shifted, guilt softening into fear, fear softening into love. He realized he wasn't walking away from a fight. He was walking away from his family. He moved slowly at first, as if afraid he no longer had the right to stand near her. But when he reached her, Cara didn't pull back. She closed her eyes, and for the first time in weeks, she allowed herself to lean gently against his side. Wesley lowered himself beside her, his shoulders heavy, but his heart breaking open. The silence between them changed. It wasn't cold anymore. It was honest. He wrapped one arm around her, pulling her close. She didn't resist. She let the tears spill quietly. And Wesley didn't look away this time. He brushed his hand through her hair, realizing how fragile she looked, how many burdens she had been carrying alone. The truth settled between them like something sacred. Neither of them was the enemy. Life was the storm, and they had forgotten they were supposed to face it together. Mason, relieved, climbed into Cara's lap, resting his head against her chest. For a moment they were simply a family again, bruised, imperfect, but connected. Wesley felt a weight release from his chest, replaced by a fierce protectiveness he had almost forgotten he possessed. He whispered promises, not of perfection, but of effort, of staying, of showing up even when life felt heavy. Cara finally looked at him, her eyes red but steady. She didn't need extravagant apologies. What she needed was exactly what he offered in that moment: presence, sincerity, and the willingness to rebuild. Over the next few days, Wesley began taking small steps. He applied for jobs without hiding the rejection emails. He helped around the apartment without waiting to be asked. He talked more, not always about big things, but about the little ones he used to keep inside. And Cara softened too. She stopped expecting him to be invincible and allowed him the space to be human. She stopped carrying every worry alone and started sharing them carefully, as though learning to trust the world again. Their home didn't magically fill with sunshine, but the shadows didn't feel so threatening anymore. One evening, they sat together on the living room floor while Mason napped. The apartment was still small, and the bills still stacked, but their hearts felt different. Wesley reached for Cara's hand, and she didn't hesitate to take it. They didn't speak about the fight. They didn't need to. Love wasn't in the apology, it was in the quiet willingness to keep trying. Life gets heavy. People break. Sometimes what hurts most isn't the argument, but the moment someone turns away. But sometimes all it takes to pull someone back is a small hand, a fragile reminder of what truly matters. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like the video, share it with someone who needs comfort, and subscribe for more emotional stories. Before you go, comment below. What moment in your life reminded you of the power of second chances? And as the sun set outside their apartment that night, Cara rested her head on Wesley's shoulder, grateful for the pain that didn't break them, and for the little boy who didn't let them give up on each other.